what's going on, guys? I'm back to give you my Tenet spoiler review. Also, I'm going to explain the film, the ending, the plot, all that stuff. I actually am late on this review, so my apologies. I had to see it a third time to fully understand the film so I could give you this analysis, because the first two viewings wasn't enough. Now that I've seen it 3 times, I can give you a very in-depth explanation of everything. That way my information's accurate. I didn't want to do this until I saw it a third time because I want to make sure my information's accurate. But before I get into that, I have some questions. So my first question is, why did Christopher Nolan cast such a tall actress? Elizabeth Debicki is 6'3". That's how tall I am. And you could really see it in the film, how tall she was. She made everyone look shorter. And another part I didn't understand is, why did the protagonists care about Kat so much? Like, they weren't in a relationship. They weren't connected in any way to each other. No job or child. They didn't collaborate together. So I'm confused why he cared about her so much and he went so far out of his way to help her. And then in the opera house scene, another question I have is, they showed them putting the gas into the air vents, but then within seconds everyone's knocked out. I wish they would have just shown someone looking at their watch and maybe 15-20 minutes passed. It was so unrealistic, and it was very surprising because Christopher Nolan is so strict on realism. I don't know how that passed him, but people were knocked out way too quickly. And then another gripe I have, in the ending, this soldier is explaining to him how the world works, how fire is ice, how time will be moving backwards very slow for him, everything will be in reverse. But the way she explained it was so fast. They took such a complex scene and made it so quick. She explains everything just like boom, 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 and you are supposed to just soak it up like a sponge and be like, got it. And I would also ask him what his hate is towards showing bad guys. In the ending of the movie, there's that big desert battle. When they're approaching the desert, they show them shooting everywhere. You maybe get 2 glimpses of the bad guys shooting at them. So they're just showing guys running around and shooting at dirt hills. And I don't understand why we couldn't see some of the other enemies on the other side of this battle. But Nolan didn't show any bad guys in that scene. Another question I have is the question everyone else has. Why didn't he do some ADR work? We can't understand what they're saying. There's too much background noise. For a story this confusing and complex, where you have to be like sharp. You have to be paying attention. And he chose to make everything overly loud. And this is my last question. I don't know if anyone noticed this, because this is funny. So there's a part with Kenneth Branagh. Elizabeth Debicki plays his wife, Kat, and he's yelling at her. And as he's talking, he randomly goes, "Listen to me!" And then it gets funnier. He goes to go kick her, and he goes, "Say!" I laughed all 3 times. Every time I've seen the movie, I have laughed at that part. I don't know how the hell this made it into the cut. I don't know why they didn't use a different take. But my God, am I glad they did, because it was so fucking funny. Okay, so I've had a lot of thinking to do with the spoilers. We're going to get into this now in the discussion. I'm going to explain everything to you, but before I do, I want to make something clear so you're not confused, so stay with me here. John David Washington plays a character named the protagonist. When I'm talking about the movie, I'm just going to call him John. Robert Pattinson's character is Neil. I'm going to refer to him as Robert. Elizabeth Debicki plays Kat. I'm just going to call her Elizabeth. Kenneth Branagh plays Sator. I'm just going to call him Kenneth. Here we go. John is trying to stop Kenneth, who plays a Russian arms dealer, from getting plutonium. Later in the story, you find out that Kenneth is gathering 9 pieces of something called the algorithm. The algorithm was created by a female scientist. She doesn't like what she created because what she created was a device that can manipulate time and invert time, moving everything in the world backwards. But the problem is, she doesn't want people doing that, so she breaks apart the algorithm into 9 pieces and hides them. So then Kenneth has figured out a way to find them, because some people from the future society told him where they were and how to put the algorithm back together. So now Kenneth knows how to move time himself, personally, on his own free will. And there are a couple times in the movie where you see him moving time. So then Kenneth runs into no problem. He only has 8 pieces of the algorithm. John has the 9th piece. He needs all 9 to make this thing. So then Kenneth threatens to kill Elizabeth, and John doesn't want that to happen, so he agrees to give Kenneth the final piece to save her life. So once Kenneth gets the ninth piece, he builds the algorithm, and now he wants to destroy the world. That's his plan, because he has cancer, and he feels like the world's going to hell anyways, because there's global warming, rivers are drying up, there's floods, there's storms, all that stuff. So in order for this plan to work out, Kenneth needs to stop communicating with the future. He actually has a suicide pill that he plans to take, so his idea goes according to plan for the future. But then that's when John and Robert have a plan on what they're going to do to stop this from happening. They need to distract Kenneth from taking the suicide pill for them to get to the algorithm, which is buried in a tunnel in a Russian city. And this Russian city part is that part I was telling you about earlier where they're just shooting at the dirt hills. This is a big scene, and this is an important scene. So John and David have two teams. One team can go forward in one particular moment, and the other team can go backwards from a particular moment. That gives Team 2 knowledge of the future of the team that went forward, which is Team 1. So I'll explain that again because I know that's a little confusing. So there are two teams. Team 1 can go forward in one particular moment in time. The other team can go backwards from a particular moment in time. That gives Team 2 knowledge of the future from the team that goes into the past, which is Team 1. So Team 2 will utilize those tips to get to the algorithm before Kenneth has time to take his own life with the suicide pill. And that's a problem. They don't want him to take this pill, and if he does, everything's ruined. So John and Robert talk to Elizabeth to distract Kenneth so he doesn't think about taking the pill, so they use her to distract him. But here's the thing. They send Elizabeth back in time to where her and her husband were happy and doing really well in the relationship. They send her back exactly at that time and moment. But there's a drawback to this. Kenneth knows what they're up to, so he's onto them, and he has a plan ready. So Kenneth communicates with John in the tunnel on a radio from one of his goons, but Elizabeth is getting impatient. She doesn't want to wait for the timer to go off, which creates a huge problem. So since Elizabeth doesn't want to wait for the timer to go off, she kills Kenneth. So John and Neil told Elizabeth, you need to kill him after the 10-second mark. But she actually ends up killing him 10 seconds before the timer goes off. And that causes an issue for the future. So since she decides to kill him 10 seconds before the bomb goes off, that ruins their plans in the future. They need that 10 seconds to disarm the bomb. But she decides, since she's mad at him about how she was treated in her marriage, she decides to kill him 10 seconds before she's supposed to. But luckily, John and Robert are able to find a way to make the mission successful without that causing an issue, because Robert has sent himself back from the future to stop Kenneth's men at the time in the tunnel to allow John to return to the surface with the algorithm. This allows them to divide the algorithm into 3 different big pieces, and for Elizabeth to kill her abusive husband she hates so she can have a better future for her and her son. Now here's the part that threw me off, where I didn't understand it until I saw it for the 3rd time. In the end, you find out that Robert reveals to John that they've known each other for a long time, and that he's been working for John since their first mission where they scaled the building with the bungee cords. Yeah, that confused me. So Robert is working for John, and he's been working with him for many years, and John hasn't known this. But Robert actually works for him. It's basically like a Terminator thing. Like John Connor sent himself back to tell himself to work for himself. So yeah, that's basically it. Robert was sent from the future to help John succeed with the mission. David asked him, well, who asked you to help me? Robert said, you did. And you're the leader of this team, by the way. And since John has some attraction or love for Elizabeth, the ending of the movie shows him go to the car where one of the girls in the film is going to kill her, but he gets there before she has time to do that, and he kills her in the car. And I am really confused about why that happened, but he stopped her from being killed, and then John will work with Robert on the next mission. That's the plot of this movie. So I thank you for tuning in. I'm not sure if that confused you, but I explained that the best way I could. It literally took me 3 viewings to fully grasp everything, give you a really rough analysis. I had to make a ton of notes. I had to correlate them and figure out how I was going to explain all this. It was kind of a pain, and it's a reason why this was delayed, so my apologies. But that is the plot and analysis of Tenet. If there's anything I missed or misunderstood, please leave a comment in the description below, and let me know what I missed, because if there's anything I missed, I would love to know about it, because I feel like I fully have the hang of this movie now, and I feel like I fully understand it, and I feel like my analysis explains it very well. I personally wish this movie wasn't so messy. I feel like it was trying to be a little too overly smart. I felt like it was overly complicated. I recommend this movie. It is a good watch, but it is not something that is going to blow your mind. Inception's better, Interstellar's better, The Prestige, that's like one of his best movies. It's a decent watch. Give it a chance. It's Christopher Nolan, for God's sakes. You gotta give it a shot. But Nolan, I'm one of your biggest fans in the world. I'm asking you as a fan right now, on your next movie, please stay away from time. I don't want your plot to have anything to do with time. Do a bank robbery movie, do a monster movie, do anything except for it having to revolve around time. This movie wasn't your best. Still respect your craft, still think you're one of the best filmmakers. I could never do what you do. The scripts you make are way beyond me. I could never have that kind of imagination or good story structure, so take that with a grain of salt. Thank you for tuning in for my Tenet analysis review here. I hope I was able to explain the plot for you and you understand the plot a lot better, because it is very complex. I hope I was able to help you out, and I appreciate you tuning in for this. I got more reviews coming up, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'm going to catch you guys on my next movie review.